copy. Green light, green light, green light. Load clear, load clear.
Cheers, 1-0, mission, you are cleared for a wind pack pass.
1-0 copies, wind pack pass.
That's good enough. That's bank. Airspeed building.
There's 22. All right, coming up.
When we saw Tiny Earth, people asked our crew what impressions we had. And honestly, what struck me wasn't necessarily just Earth, it was all the blackness around it. Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe. Uh-oh. So, I may have not learned, I know I haven't learned, everything that this journey has yet to teach me. But there's one new thing I know, and that is, planet Earth, you are a crew. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back with another banger. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Y'all feel me? Let's run it.
I can't believe NASA is actually doing this. This is Artemis 2 coming back to Earth, and this is what NASA is showing us. They're showing us a bunch of people in an office, right? This is mission control. And first of all, the lighting is horrible here. And this is what we're getting. We're getting a CGI visualization of the re-entry, right? This is it right here, CGI. We're not getting any live footage. This is CGI. And this is the funny part right here. Look, they added stars. I have not seen one single star in this entire mission to the moon. They tell you, oh, well, you can't see the stars because of the sun. And yet right here, these people, they added stars to this visualization of the re-entry of Artemis 2. I'm telling you, these people are out of their minds. They need to try harder. They need to fire the entire staff and record label and crew. They need to do a better job.
No footage from inside the capsule. The biggest question is, who's filming the re-entry? Shout outs to Truth Seeker HQ.
Alpha gout. It's a tick-borne illness similar to Lyme disease. It's a government-made thing.
Yeah, I've
And
read
in a
that.
bunch of regions where ticks are rampant, now they're finding Lyme disease in 50% of the ticks. Farmers are claiming in their fields that they're finding boxes full of ticks that are being dumped. In 2026, though, something got released where Bill Gates is working with tick vaccines. Now, his claim is that he's trying to eliminate a disease in Africa, a specific tick-borne illness there. I saw an account that was saying now's the time to invest in Pfizer because Pfizer just released a new vaccine for Lyme disease. So Bill Gates owns the farmland. Bill Gates is doing the tick research. Pfizer is now releasing tick-borne vaccines. The dude's in the files. He's talking about pandemics. You can't tell me that dude is involved in all of this and it's not connected.
Yeah.
I just want y'all to say, man, look where we at, y'all. There's nobody outside. I believe God is real. This is all proof to me. Look at this. Look at this. All the people here.
There's nobody here.
Crazy. Crazy.
Pay very close attention to the extremely sus shape that is formed when the Artemis 2 crew supposedly lands in the water after their mission. Do you see that shape? There is no possible way that this is CGI. No way on Earth. This is definitely just a coincidence that the most sus shape I have ever seen is formed when they land in the water after going like 25,000 miles per hour. This is the most professional LARPing operation I have ever seen. And of course, they take a picture of them in the helicopter with crepuscular light rays coming from the clouds and the sunlight walking on the water to the observer. They are literally showing us proof of a flat earth in that picture. And you guys actually believe this. So at first, the crew said that these photos were taken 12 hours apart from each other, even though it's the same cloud rendering, the same positions of the land masses, it's the exact same photo, but this one is dark. So they corrected themselves and said, oh, no. They were taken a few minutes apart, but it was a different shutter speed. Yeah, buddy, a different shutter speed. If you actually believe this, I don't know how to save you from what's coming, but I made this video for entertainment purposes only. The space thing is real.
Where's the steam? With something that hot, there will be more steam on the water. Shout outs to Holistic Health Nut 33. That image in the water was very sus. I ain't gonna cap.
So this is the only place in any of the temples that you will see a reptilian. And this reptilian is teaching how to utilize electricity. That's the only place that a reptilian is depicted in the entire temple. Why do you think that is? And why specifically would that come?
The people came from other space at the time.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I channel a reptilian occasionally, and they're very loving and have a lot of ancient wisdom. Now many people think they're all bad.
No, not at all.
But that one downstairs is depicting, showing how to utilize electricity and wisdom. Yes. Interesting.
That's wild. To even have that kind of conversation with a guide. Right? Right there. Like, whoa. Shout out to Quantum Soul Doula with this fascinating footage right here. Yo, this is dope.
We are the sum total of 22 different extraterrestrial races. Extraterrestrial races that have been here for hundreds of thousands of years, who have interbred with humanity and left offspring. Now, that's the physical. The spiritual aspect of who we are is even more enlightening and even more amazing. It's called the Blue Brain Project in Switzerland. They have combined Blue Brain Project. They have combined many different types of technologies, and what they have done is they have essentially created a type of MRI that can scan the entire brain. And I mean all of the intricate structures of the brain itself. What they have discovered is that some of us have in our brains 4th, 5th, 6th dimensional structures already in our brain. Now think about that. There are other people that they have done the same thing with that have 7, 8, 9 dimensional structures in their brain. Some have 10 and 11 dimensional structures already in your brain. Now you're a 3rd density physicality, and yet in your brain you have multiple dimensional structures. Now, another best kept secret is that many children are being born with a 3rd strand of DNA. Another incredible secret is that many people who have had near-death experiences are coming back, and when they come back, they have 3, 4 and 5 strands of DNA. There is a guy in Australia who was dead an hour and 45 minutes, and he woke up in the morgue, and when they did an examination of him, he had 6 strands of DNA. We're talking about one of us. So, nothing we've been taught about ourselves is true. We haven't been told anything about who we really are.
When you get that high profile, the demons are going to be really spending a lot of time and energy trying to take you down. And we've seen this even in the Catholic Church. They'll get the wrong types of people into positions of authority. They know this particular person has this defect. They'll give the person the inspiration. You should go into politics. You should rule. You should be the governor. And so then they'll incline the person to go into that governorship, knowing that because of this person's psychological compatibility with them, with the demons, they can manipulate this person to cause all sorts of damage.
Man, have I seen that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you must watch the news with your jaw open because you know what's happening.
The director, Stanley Kubrick, he literally had the strangest death as well. His final movie, Eyes Wide Shut, which is a movie that's pretty much, his wife says something wild to him, which sends him down this journey of trying to like find himself or whatever throughout New York. And he stumbles across this party that he wasn't supposed to go to. He ends up seeing a party where the elites are all there. And apparently there's even a scene where this guy that Tom Cruise's character talks to, he said,
"Listen, Bill, I don't think you realize what kind of trouble you were in last night. Who do you think those people were? Those were not just ordinary people there. If I told you their names, I'm not going to tell you their names, but if I did, I don't think you'd sleep so well."
That scene was supposed to reference, because he gets in this room and it's a whole bunch of these masked figures, and there were so many shots and things that just made sense about the movie, what they're doing. For instance, Tom Cruise's character, his mask, you can really clearly see his eyes in there.
Yeah.
Everybody else's is
all dark.
It's all dark.
Wasn't there also like 30 or like 40 minutes of the movie that it hasn't been seen by anybody because it got like cut out or something like that, right? Am I wrong? Or?
No, that's 100% facts.
Yeah.
It's some number like that. It's either like 30 or 40 minutes or something, but you're spot on, bro. Yes, that's another detail people thought was weird about this movie. Long story short, they're like doing rituals or whatever it's like an underground society, pretty much like real life. And right before he was supposed to drop the movie, Stanley Kubrick ends up dying mysteriously in his house or whatever. I forgot what it was, bro. It was a heart attack or whatever. And then it makes you go, the government literally said, I think it was the CIA. They said they had a heart attack gun, Mike. Am I wrong? Yes or no?
The CIA came out with a heart attack gun, yes.
It's such an easy way to do it where they go, well, he was old.
He was an older guy.
And he got killed.
He was a famous Hollywood director who knew what he was getting into, right?
And it's wild because he was trying to expose the elites. This movie is literally talking about these people, and just even the title, Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
The director, Stanley Kubrick, he literally had the strangest death as well.
This is absolutely shocking. We now likely know why Melania Trump gave this Epstein press conference the other day. It's because of this woman, Amanda Ungaro, who has been friends with Melania Trump for 20 years. And that right there is her husband, Paolo Zampalli, who Trump appointed to the Kennedy Center board as well as a special envoy to the United States. But he also happened to be a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein and appears in the Epstein file over and over again, 16 different times. In fact, Paolo claims to have introduced Melania to Trump in 1998. Now, his wife Amanda, who was friends with Melania Trump for 20 years, was on Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express multiple times. But Amanda is now angry because Paolo here asked Trump to deport her over a custody battle over their son. So Amanda is now speaking out, threatening legal action and to spill the beans on everything. And she's going to tear Melania down as well as the system. And that she's not afraid.
Sounds like we gotta protect Amanda at all costs. That's wild. Shout out to Krasensteins. I didn't understand this whole story. He breaks it down pretty well. Looked like she was a key player. For sure. They even got her deported. That's wild. Sounds like a woman scorned.
What happens when you build an entire neighborhood over a cemetery? Nothing good. And this story is exactly why. In the early 1980s, families began moving into a brand new neighborhood in Crosby, Texas. It was a quiet suburban town, the kind of place you'd raise your kids. They called it Newport. One of those families was a couple named Sam and Judith Haney. Not long after moving in, they decided to build a pool in their backyard. But before construction even began, something strange happened. One day, there was a knock at their front door. When they opened it, a man was standing there. He told them that he noticed they were planning to dig. And before they did, there was something they needed to know. He claimed their home had been built on top of an old burial ground, a cemetery for freed slaves. He warned them that if they started digging, they would find bodies. The Haneys were skeptical of his claims at first, and their curiosity got the better of them, so they decided to dig anyways. And almost immediately, they hit something in the ground. It was a wooden board. Sam climbed down into the hole and pulled it up. Underneath was a body. They called the authorities, and soon they learned the truth. The remains belonged to a couple named Charles and Betty Thomas. They were freed slaves who were buried decades earlier in what was known as a pauper's field, a cemetery for the poor and marginalized. The land their home sat on was part of a forgotten graveyard called Black Hope Cemetery, a burial ground for over 60 people, most of them being former slaves. Judith was devastated. She felt like they had disturbed something sacred, so the Haneys carefully reburied the bodies exactly where they had found them and tried to make things right. But almost immediately, strange things started to happen. Judith woke up one night to a strange blue glow in her bedroom. Her clock was sparking, but it wasn't even plugged in. Another night, she heard the sliding glass door open, then a man's voice, asking her what she was doing. But when she checked, no one was there. And then something even stranger happened. One morning, Judith couldn't find her red shoes. She searched the entire house until Sam went outside and found them placed neatly on top of Betty Thomas's grave, as if someone had carried them there. And what made it even more unsettling was that day was Betty's birthday. But the Haneys weren't the only ones. Their neighbors Ben and Jean Williams began experiencing things too. At first, it was small. Jean couldn't get anything to grow in her garden. Every plant died. Then, strange indentations began appearing in their yard. They were coffin-shaped, and no matter how many times they tried to fill them in, they would reappear the next day. Then, the activity escalated. Toilets began flushing on their own, doors opened and closed, voices whispering through the house, and shadows moved along the walls. One night, Ben walked into the kitchen and saw two dark figures floating towards the bedroom. He followed them and saw one of them standing over his sleeping wife. He jumped onto it and felt a rush of freezing air, and then it vanished. But nothing could have prepared them for what came next. People in their family started getting sick, one after another, and within weeks, 6 relatives were diagnosed with cancer. 3 of them died shortly after. That's when the Williams became convinced that there was something malicious in their home, and it was targeting them and their loved ones. Then one day, Jean noticed something carved into the tree in her backyard. It was an arrow pointing straight down. She went around asking neighbors if they knew what it meant, and eventually, she surprisingly found the man who carved it. He told her it was his 2 sisters, that they had been buried beneath that very spot decades prior. That's when the truth came to light. The Williams home was sitting on top of a cemetery. Upset at their discovery, Ben and Jean wanted to sue, but Texas law required proof. So that's when Jean decided to get it herself. She started to dig, but suddenly she became extremely ill. Her daughter offered to take over, and not long after, she became weak too. They rushed her inside and called 911. And at just 30 years old, she suffered a sudden heart attack. She died 2 days later. After that, the Williams packed up and left for good. The Haneys tried to sue the city for failing to disclose the cemetery, but they lost. The legal fees destroyed them financially, and they were forced to sell their home and move back in with loved ones. To this day, some people say the hauntings were real. Others say it was coincidence, but one fact was never disputed. There were bodies buried underneath those homes. Real people whose lives had meaning. Their graves were desecrated and their memories were destroyed when the city decided to build over them. Those who were laid to rest at Black Hope Cemetery deserved better. And today, the town of Newport is still standing. We now know the names of 26 people who are still buried underneath those homes. The rest are unknown, but their impact on this earth is no less. May the souls of Black Hope Cemetery find the peace and rest they so deeply deserve. And may we never forget the 60+ people whose memories were attempted to be erased from history. Thank you for watching, and follow for more stories like this.
The city wasn't trying to hear all that. Dang. Maybe they should have went after the realtor, but not letting him know. Built the neighborhood over a cemetery for the money. It's wild. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those houses were definitely haunted as soon as they started digging them graves. It's crazy how the wife caught that heart attack. They should have just packed and kept it moving a long time ago. Just sell the house. So sad. Shout outs to Graves with Grace. Shout outs to Unsolved Mysteries. That's wild.
Watch his face transform Some people could say this is just a lighting, but there seems to be something more dark going on here. This isn't normal at all. This is absolutely demonic, and this rapper goes by the name of Sway Lee. What do you think about this?
Ghosts and demons. There are 13 points on the human body where, according to classical Chinese medicine, ghosts and demons can enter. The ancients mapped them, named them, and taught us how to awaken their protective medicine. At the base of your skull, in the soft hollow just beneath the bony ridge, precisely on your midline, there is a point the ancients called Palace of the Wind, and sometimes Ghost Forest. This is governing vessel 16, GV16, one of the 13 ghost points used in classical Chinese medicine to calm the mind, treat addiction and emotional trauma, and in older times, to expel what the tradition called demons and ghosts. The language has evolved, the medicine has not. GV16 is understood to be a threshold between the external world and the palace within, the home of your own divinity. And because it is a doorway, it can be entered. Exterior influences, collective thought forms, ambient anxiety, the pull of group thinking, are understood to find their way in through this point, and that is why it carries such power. A direct blow to this location can cause physical death, which tells you something about what lives here and why it deserves your tending. Working with GV16, rather than leaving it unguarded, strengthens immunity in both the literal and metaphorical sense. As practitioner Michelle Marie Gervais writes in Spiritual Portraits of the Energy Release Point, unblocking and activating Ghost Forest brings awareness and a renewal of vitality that strengthens and energizes the whole body system, creating a heightened capacity for self-defense. This is her book. To work with this point, locate the soft depression at the base of the skull just beneath the occipital ridge. Apply a drop of frankincense essential oil, used across traditions for spiritual protection, purification, and connection with the sacred, and massage with steady, gentle pressure. We are not meant to close our eyes to the world. This point cultivates something rarer, the ability to witness the enormity of this moment, its trauma and turbulence, without being consumed by it. What reflections does this evoke for you? What tools are you already using to protect and fortify yourself? Please share in the comments below. I would love to hear from you.
Guess you could say I'm living on a prayer. Shout out to Sacred Psychiatry. Very interesting. GV16, the Ghost Forest. Reminds me of the back of the neck in the Matrix when you get plugged in. And if you pull it before your consciousness getting back to your body, it's a wrap. Very fascinating.
That's an owl face right in the corn. That's an owl face right in the corn. And those are hops. That is the Excelsior crest right there. Look at those faces all in there. Look at, there's a triangle in that heraldic crest.
In the Hebrew Bible, there is a people so feared, so cosmically threatening that the God issued a command that has no parallel anywhere else in the entire Torah. Destroy them completely, every man, every woman, every child, every animal. Leave nothing. The Amalekites. They were the first nation to attack Israel after the exodus from Egypt. And the manner of that attack revealed something the Torah considers uniquely sinister. They did not attack from the front. They came from behind, targeting specifically the weak, the exhausted, those with nothing left to defend themselves with. In Kabbalistic tradition, this detail is everything. The numerical value of Amalek in Hebrew gematria equals the word asafek, doubt. The Amalekites in esoteric Jewish understanding are not simply a historical enemy. They are the embodiment of the force that attacks you. At your most depleted, the voice that surfaces when your faith is weakest, when the distance between who you are and who are you trying to become feels impossible. Every generation, according to the Talmud, has its Amalek. The external enemy changes its face. The internal enemy remains identical. The commandment to destroy Amalek is understood in Kabbalistic reading as an inner imperative, the eradication of doubt from the human soul. The deeper layers of this, the esoteric warface tradition, built around Amalek and what it means for your own inner life, I go into properly inside my private study circle on Telegram. Link is in bio. What is Amalek in your own life that keeps attacking from behind?
I feel like I heard this story before. Amalek, the ancient enemy that lives inside of you, the shadow self. There go that gematria. Little piece of ancient history. Shout outs to Azazel 9.
There are people right now who are opening themselves up to higher dimensions and accessing real magic. If this is you and tapping into these waters is a new experience for you, and if you have any humility in your body that desires to listen to what I have to say, may it be this video. We attract what we are. So if you have access to this level of magic, you're likely attracting people into your experience who also have access to these dimensions. Navigating these realms is not something to fuck around with. And who you share fields with leaves an imprint in your body, in your DNA. If you're in co-creation with someone who has higher dimensional access, higher magic access, and they haven't done the purification of their own field, and your body is telling you it's unsafe, but your mind is worshiping what they've given you access to, you better make sure that this person that you are sharing this level of consciousness with, be mindful of what's moving through them. Be mindful of their impulse to control. Be mindful of the energy beneath their actions and the intention that it comes through. Pay attention to the body, how it feels somatically. Does it feel safe in the body? And if you don't know how to hold your own field, you'll start running someone else's current, whether pure or not, and calling it your intuition. That is the cost of swimming in these waters. It's consequence. You lose signal, your clarity blurs, your body feels further away from you, and your knowing gets replaced with something that feels powerful but is not your own. Devotion to magic without discernment is dangerous. Magic without purification doesn't just affect the practitioner, it affects everyone that's connected to their field and the grid that they inhabit and cultivate. So, understand this. Not every open door is meant for you. Not every seemingly powerful person is safe to sit under or apprentice under. Clean magic will never take you away from yourself. It will only root you deeper into the body. Sharpen your discernment and return your authority back to you. Your porousness, if not sharpened with discernment and protected through discernment, you will learn the hard way, as we always do. But maybe this serves as confirmation for some people. Accessing higher dimensions of consciousness and magic requires a sovereignty that is so strong that you don't become what you touch. Because actualization, manifestation, your creation power is amplified as fuck. So you best believe whom you are co-creating with is in alignment with you have free will. It is a dangerous game when practiced ignorantly and without humility.
If you practice magic, make sure it's clean and pure. Shout out to Madison Vanderbeek. I totally feel her. You don't want other people's stuff getting up in your field, messing around with your intuition. I totally feel that for sure.
Why is gravity part of Planck's constant or the speed of light, which we know changes constantly depending upon the medium that it's going in there? So having the speed of light as a constant, having gravity as a constant in Planck's charge lets you know that this is the Planck's charge, that Planck's entire Planck number is false because they've changed the speed of light.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, don't forget to hit the notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.